The government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is listening to the public and ensuring that the economy comes back to life once again.
Infrastructural Development Federal Executive Council approves funds for capital projects as a deliberate policy to empower Nigerians. The world commemorates 2025 Cancer Day with focus on people-centered approach to care.
We reaffirm our collective commitment to tackling cancer through unity.
Establishment of Livestock Ministry excites stakeholders who see development as a game changer in agri sector. The National Assembly resumes plenary. Senate rejigs committees to cater for regional development commissions. Hello and welcome to the Network News. I am Olajide Bello. And joining me from Lagos is Adeola Komiakiri. Sorry about that. Adeola won't be joining us this night from Lagos. Meanwhile, Benny Adams is standing by for the business news segment. Benny, as the United States of America is slamming tariffs in countries in different sectors, is Nigeria exempted?
Well, the WTO is promising to work assiduously to ensure that the trade war doesn't escalate. So I'm sure Nigeria shouldn't be worried. Details during the bulletin.
All right, many thanks, Benny. And of course, Bade Adeleye is on sport update. Bade, what's the latest in terms of FIBA draws?
Well, the draws for the FIBA Under-19 Women's World Cup have, pitted Nigeria alongside the trio of Canada, Portugal and China. We'll bring details when we get to the sports segment.
All right, thank you, buddy. And remember, you can watch these broadcasts live on our website, nta.ng/live, and on our other social media handles displayed on your screen. The Federal Executive Council says the administration of President Bola Tinubu has been intentional to further invigorate the economy by various steps, including the award of capital projects to empower millions of Nigerians in the sector. The Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, stated these at the briefing after the meeting of the Federal Executive Council this Tuesday. State House correspondent reports that Musbah and Wahab, the Council approved award of contract for the rehabilitation of Alau Dam, Maiduguri, which was responsible for the disastrous flood disasters in last year. And the details of this will come in our subsequent bulletin. Moving on, President Bola Tinubu has been commended for the various reforms of his administration which have enhanced good climate for businesses to thrive in Nigeria. The outgoing president, ExxonMobil upstream Liam Malone, gave the commendation as he visited the president at the State House. He expressed appreciation to the president for what he described as encouragement for investment in the country. Mr. Malone, who is proceeding on retirement at the multinational oil company, also introduced his successor, Dan Amon, to the president.
Strong support from this administration to make the transition of our shallow water business to Seplat Energy. We're very excited. That will unlock potential for all of Nigeria. That's number one. And secondly, the administration's support, in particular with the president's directives to encourage investment in the deep water, will, in my view, set us up for many years to come with many exciting developments. So this administration has been extremely supportive of the potential to expand oil and gas, low emissions oil and gas in this country. Very supportive.
ExxonMobil is currently embarking on one of the biggest oil projects in Nigeria, and the incoming president upstream says the company is at the moment considering expanding the scope of investment in the Nigerian oil and gas sector.
We're looking forward now on a refocused business focused on deep water. We have a lot of exciting prospects and opportunities that I've reviewed with the team just yesterday, and we're looking forward to advancing those as quickly as we can with the support of the President's directives, the support of the government, and we're very excited about the future here.
Moving to the creative industry, Vice President Kashim Shettima has pledged support for the Nigeria Creates project as part of efforts to transform the nation's economy. The Vice President says Nigeria Creates, an enterprise championed by Mo Abdu, has the potential of being Nigeria's flagship cultural diplomacy initiative that will truly project the country through tourism, arts, music and fashion at the global stage. He commends her contributions to the development of Nigeria's entertainment industry, noting that there are a lot of positivity about the country that should be exported to the international community. He invites Abdu to join the federal government's IDICE team and deploy her expertise to help actualize the administration's goals in technology and creative sector. Mo Abudu says Nigeria Creates is an initiative that will help celebrate excellence in Nigeria's creative sector. The Nigeria Creates initiative will debut in the United Kingdom during the 2025 summer. President Bola Tinubu has declined assent to the bill seeking establishment of the Federal University of Education, Noma Adamawa State, which was passed by the National Assembly last year. The President conveyed his decision to the House of Representatives in a letter read at plenary by Deputy Speaker Benjamin Kalu. President Tinubu cited wrong allocation of the presidential powers in Section 22 of the bill, among other drafting errors, as reasons for refusing assent.
I'm declining assent to the bill due to the following reasons. A. Section 22 of the bill accords the authority to consent to the disposal of land to the governor and not the president, as ought to be the case in respect of land belonging to a federal government entity in the case of universities. 2. The word status is spelled as status in items 13 and 15 under arrangement of sections. 3. Prepositions of is omitted between the word award and degree in section 25(4) sub B, and the phrase 1/3 is spelled as 1/3 in Article 4, subsection 3 of the third schedule to the bill.
National Assembly correspondent Mitari Ekpen reports that the Senate and House of Representatives observed a minute's silence and adjourned plenary in honor of late House Deputy Chief Whip Adeomi Onanuga from Ogun State, who died on 15th of January this year. She was eulogized as the only female principal officer of the 10th Assembly, who also served as Chairman, House Committee on Women Affairs and Social Development in the 9th Assembly.
We give glory to God for her life and the legacies she left behind. She impacted a lot on our community.
Senate notes that Honorable Onanuga's resilience and exemplary leadership in championing her legislative advocacy and activism, most particularly in the promotion of gender equality.
She was a strong lawmaker, creative, innovative, courageous, capable, and unbowed.
We will miss her not only in Parliament, not only in her constituency, but also all the females.
Still from the National Assembly, following assent of President Bola Tinubu to bills establishing development commissions for regions in the country, the Senate has appointed chairman and deputy chairman of standing committees to oversight the commissions. National Assembly correspondent Lamiari reports that the Senate also reshuffled leadership of some committees.
The new chairman of the Senate committee,
presiding over plenary after the break for budget defense sessions on the 2025 fiscal plan, President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, announced additional standing committees in the Senate and their leadership. Establishment of the committees was sequel to assent to related legislations by the President. The new committees are for the Northwest Development Commission with Senator Babangida Hussaini as chairman, while the Committee for the North Central Development Commission has Senator Titus Zam as chairman. Senate also made changes to leadership of some standing committees, which include Senate Committee on National Population, the Committee on Local Content, and that of Diaspora and NGOs, among others. In another development, the Kano State Caucus, as the Senate, has commended President Tinubu for his assent to the bill establishing Federal Polytechnic in Rano, Kano State.
The establishment of Federal Polytechnic Rano is not just a victory for our community or our zone or our senatorial district. It is a transformative step forward for the entire state of Kano and Nigeria at large.
Meanwhile, Senate Committee on Public Accounts has threatened to issue warrants of arrest on heads of some agencies of government for failure to respond to summons.
Central Bank still charges Consolidated Revenue Funds account with 650 billion naira. To interact, interface with Central Bank to know how and why hasn't been possible. More than 8 invitations have been extended to the chairman of Federal Inland Revenue Service. Nigerian Communications Satellite Limited has been invited over 9 times. Nigerian Police Force has never appeared before this committee, despite all communications. FCT Internal Revenue Service, Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, and quite a number of them.
From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
And talking health, Nigeria joins the countries across the globe to mark this year's World Cancer Day with determination to tackle cancer through inclusivity. Basi Taipan reports that world leaders are making a shift to high-quality cancer care as a priority that will be more responsive.
Cancer remains the leading cause of death worldwide, claiming about 8.2 million lives every year. Yet, experts say 1/3 of these deaths could be prevented. Many cancers, when detected early, are treatable and even curable.
We should not focus just on treating the disease, but we should adopt perspective and experience of individuals, carers, families, and communities as participants.
I also want to call the attention of the federal government of Nigeria to the fact that the burden of cancer size is increasing in the country, particularly some cancers that we have neglected over the years, specifically colorectal cancer.
Sequel to the approval of Mr. President, we have finalized plans to establish and upgrade 6 federal teaching hospitals with new radiotherapy and nuclear medicine facilities across the country.
But beyond medical screening, simple lifestyle changes, quitting tobacco, cutting down on alcohol, eating healthier, and staying active can drastically reduce the chances of developing cancer.
Cancer, experts say, is a disease of public health importance. Hence the theme for this year's celebration, United by Unique, highlighting the need to personalize cancer care and treatments. It also marks the beginning of a 3-year campaign, starting from 2025 to 2027. Basi Taipan, NTA News.
And with me in the studio to speak more on World Cancer Day is the Minister of State for Health, Dr. Ishaq Salako. You're welcome to the Network News.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to be here.
All right, taking a look at the theme, United by Unique means shifting from one-size-fits-all treatment to personalized care. What necessitated this approach?
The theme for this year's Cancer World Cancer Day, which is going to also run for the next 3 years, is very interesting. It talks about being united, but also being unique, And when you say we're united, the main focus of our unity is to eliminate cancer as much as possible from the human race. And our uniqueness also reflects the differences at individual and country levels. So because it has been established over the years that when you are able to pinpoint and target cancer cells using precision medicine, the side effects are less, the outcome is better, the prognosis is brighter, and as a result of that, this year's World Cancer Day is trying to emphasize the need for us to patient-centric approach to management of cancer, to ensure that patients are at the center, are at the middle of our approach, so that the uniqueness in each individual is taken into cognizance in addressing the issue of cancer in our society.
All right, expanding access to precision medicine, especially in low-income regions, how does this apply to Nigeria?
Well, I must say that Nigeria is just coming up with respect to precision medicine, but we are not lacking too behind. As an example, in our management of breast cancer, precision medicine is being used through the use of immunohistochemistry services, which we are implementing in a few of our hospitals, especially. We have a pilot project already at the National Hospital here in Abuja, and using this kind of approach, we are able to pinpoint and able also to predict better what is likely to be the outcome when and which kind of drugs will be most effective in each individual patient. However, the emphasis of Nigeria is mainly on how to ensure that we reduce the burden of cancer in our society. And for us to be able to reduce the burden of cancer in our society, it means we must put a lot of priority attention on prevention. And that is why we have introduced routine immunization for hepatitis B into our national immunization program, because immunization for hepatitis B can help us prevent lung cancers. We have also introduced routine immunization, not routine yet, but we are putting in place immunization of girls, young girls, against HPV, human papillomavirus virus, which is the causative organism for cervical cancer. You must know that cervical cancer is the second most common cancer in Nigeria. Beyond that, we're increasing our advocacy. We're also targeting screening services. Screening services will help us to detect cancers or changes early at precancerous stage, or even if it's going to be at cancerous stage, at the very early stages of the cancer when it is still treatable and curable. So the emphasis of Nigeria beyond precision medicine, targeted medicine, is to reduce the burden of cancer in our society through the use of prevention at primary and secondary levels.
All right, in reducing the prevalence of cancer in Nigeria, how accessible and affordable are the treatments?
Well, generally speaking, cancer treatment is expensive, but what government has tried to do is to create intervention programs and also create a sustainable, robust system that can support people who have cancer in their lives. As an example, you know that we have introduced the Cancer Health Fund, and the Cancer Health Fund is able to help patients who are diagnosed of some specific cancers to be able to access some sort of support from government, to be able to access care, access diagnostic measures, and to also access monitoring measures. Beyond that, government has also introduced a more sustainable method through the Catastrophic Health Fund, using the instrumentality of the National Health Insurance Agency, so that cancer can become an insured ailment in our country, and people who have cancers can have access to some sort of cancer, some sort of insurance, health insurance, to support the treatment, the diagnosis, the monitoring of cancer. So through these models, we have been able to at least reduce the burden in terms of financing on cancer patients in our country. And of course, I must say that in 2025, there's already a plan to increase the amount of fund that is available within the Cancer Health Fund, and also to expand the scope of the fund through increasing facilities where they are available and the kind of cancers that we can use the fund to treat.
All right, many thanks, the Minister of State Health, Dr. Ishaq Salako, for your input. And, some of these projects you read out these nights are indeed commendable, courtesy of the federal government. Many thanks for your input.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to be here.
And away from health, every individual, regardless of socio-economic status, deserves the opportunity to live a healthy life free from devastating impact of cancer. Nigeria's First Lady, Oluremi Tinubu, said this in her message marking this World Cancer Day. She notes that cancer is a burden on millions of individuals and families around the globe, and as such demands collective responsibility to combat, especially in Nigeria, where it is the leading cause of death. She, however, expresses hope that with determination and partnership, the narrative can change, and emphasizes the need to continue to unite and raise awareness on cancer, prioritize screening, early detection, and equitable access to treatment for all. She urges Nigerians to prioritize their health and support one another in the collective fight against cancer. You're watching the Network News. More reports when we return. Thanks for being there. The renewed hope agenda on infrastructure has inherited a couple of thousands of ongoing road projects, which additional 300 emergency road projects initiated. This has been managed effectively, with many completed, but there are more roads in dilapidated conditions with multiplier effect on the economy. Abdullahi Mohammed reports.
Hitting the 20 trillion naira mark is the estimated bill for the more than 2,000 ongoing road projects across the country. The rollers turning out more miles of motorable highways despite the bumps and breakers. This notwithstanding hundreds of miles of critical roads sinking key sectors of the economy, begging for attention. Salt on the wound, the budget for the ministry, just a drop in the ocean as far as the bill of the ministry is concerned. The condition of some of the roads, booby traps of salt, lubricants to the evil wills of road crashes, especially those involving trucks carrying thousands of liters of fuel. Within the past weeks, mishaps that destroyed properties worth millions and hundreds of lives, some pointing fingers at bad roads. In Abuja, Abdullah Mohammed, NTA News.
And joining me in the studio to throw more light on road intervention is the Chairman, Senate Committee on Northwest Development Commission, Senator Babangida Hussaini. You're welcome to the Network News.
Thank you for having me, and good evening.
All right, improving Nigeria's road network is a priority for this administration. How has this passion translated in terms of funding?
Well, thank you very much once again. I think one of the most critical components of the road issues in Nigeria is around funding. I believe much has been done in terms of creating additional funding windows apart from the budget. You have the SCOOC, you have the presidential intervention funding, you have also the multilateral loans financing some critical roads. But the truth is, having regard to the volume of the maintenance issues on the road and also the need to open up new roads for economic development, I think more needs to be done. Creating new funding window options and then getting cheaper funding to finance road construction.
All right, distinguished, having headed the Senate Committee on FEMA and being a former permanent secretary of the Ministry of Works, what are the alternatives or options on how to achieve good road network across Nigeria?
Well, beside increasing and improving the funding from the annual budget, I think one very important area is that the involvement of the private sector. I remember 3-4 years back, the Highway Development Management Initiative was introduced, and 12 roads were to be offtaken by concessionaires who will be responsible for managing them, financing and maintaining the roads. I think that's the way to go. And I think one other area that we should also be looking at is expanding the SCOOC funding options. It's a cheaper funding opportunity, and I think in 2019, 100 billion was taken, and then the following year, 162 billion. The year after, 220 billion. So I think having regard to the scope of the maintenance issues and the need to create the economy that we all desire so that the benefits will cascade down to the lower level of the society, I think there is need for Sukuk funding to be enhanced and to be improved. And at the same time, to also look at the presidential intervention as well. I'm happy to note that this administration has attached greater attention to infrastructure, and I think that's the way to go.
Okay, now, aside funding, how can the nation leverage on available resources abound nationwide to equally achieve this feat?
Well, but one very important issue that perhaps I need to stress here is the issue of synergy between all the key players in the infrastructure sector. You have the Minister of Works, who will serve as the lead, and then also you also have the Nigeria Building and Road Research Institute, FEMA, and all other agencies have to come together to bring cheaper and easier options of road construction and road management. In other climes, you see they have created newer and cheaper ways of maintaining their roads and also bringing about a kind of new and easier alternatives to road construction. But here, I think looking at the scope of damage on our roads, the road culture is not good. We don't respect the highway code. The speed limit of 100 kilometers is not respected. The axle weight load on articulated vehicles. Ordinarily, a tanker shouldn't take more than 33,000 liters of petroleum product. But today you see some taking up to 90,000 liters on our highways. And I think those are the areas that we should be looking at to ensure the longevity of the road itself. But critically, I think, and of greater importance, of course, is the issue of synergy between the drivers and the implementers of the road maintenance sector.
All right, many thanks, the Chairman Senate Committee, Senator Babangida Hussaini on Northwest Development, and we do congratulate you on your new appointment. Many thanks for your input on the Network News.
Thank you very much, and thank you for having me.
And away from that, the federal government has formally commenced collection of toll fees on the Abuja-Kefi-Akwanga-Makadi highway. The cashless collection system has a significant subsidy for commercial vehicles and free passage for motorbikes and bicycles. Abdullah Mohammed reports.
Moments before the toll fees collection, the free, smooth rides are over. 20 years ago was the last time motorists paid toll across federal roads in this country. And here we come again. The toll gates are lively.
One of the problems that we're having with passengers is we hope the transport fare will not increase.
And the motorists are ready to pay as long as the resources are plowed back. These tolling will be on for 25 years with other highways across the country to follow. The renewed hope movement has exemptions and discounts for the less privileged, and the Minister of State Works, Muhammad Bello Goroyo, says it's a soft landing expected to turn to a relief.
50% to some categories of road users and almost 100% to other categories of road users, because the renewed hope agenda is about putting smiles on the faces of Nigerians.
The 227.2 kilometer Abuja-Kefi-Akwanga Federal Highway is not just a stretch of road. It is a conduit of prosperity, a bridge between communities, and a lifeline of national unity.
One of the host states takes the Oliver Twist stand.
Now, if you have to go to Nasarawa from Lafia, you have to pass through Kefi to go to Nasarawa, and that takes you about 3 to 4 hours. Now, this road that links from Doma to Nasarawa takes us about 30 minutes. So within 30 minutes, you've connected 3-4 local governments, if that road is constructed.
The 227.2 kilometers highway was delivered within 4 years and this highway is no doubt a gateway to prosperity. Abdullah Muhammad, NTA News.
Now we'll now take you back to our earlier report on the Federal Executive Council on Economy Rejuvenation, and our State House correspondent, Musbaut and Wahab, is standing by.
A second consecutive meeting of the top policy-making body in the country in 2 days. Picking up from where they left off, on Monday, the council members clearly still had a lot more on their table. Another set of 67 memoranda to consider, and the council apparently would spare no time to further inject more life into the national economy. After deliberations, Information and National Orientation Minister yet again with his colleagues to brief newsmen, acting on the recommendation of its committee assessing the state of dams in the country, the council has expressly approved the sum of 80 billion naira for the immediate rehabilitation and expansion of a failing Alau Dam, which claimed lives and destroyed properties last year in Maiduguri and its environs.
And we are believing that between now and July this year, the first component of that work will be established so that this year there will be no flooding in Maiduguri again.
Ministry of Works again secured council's approval for 14 road projects, including sections of a Phase 1 Lagos-Ibadan road, which the minister says the government hopes to complete by April.
We are poised to take over some of the routes if any of them will not be completed by the month of April, because we need to commission that project.
Similarly, the FCT administration got approval for 6 projects, which include the rehabilitation of Phase 1, 3, and 4 of the Lower Usuma Dam water treatment plants in Abuja.
They are mainly on infrastructure development and adequate water supply to the people of FCT and the environment.
The council also directed that Nigeria ratifies the African Medicines Agency Treaty, approved since 2019 by the African heads of state to enhance efficiency in production of pharmaceuticals on the continent.
Is to enhance the capacity of all state parties that have ratified it, to improve their regulatory capacities regarding medical products, to increase access to safe, quality-assured, efficacious medical products, and use common standards across the continent towards a Pan-African regulatory framework for medicines, medical products, and pharmaceuticals.
The ministry equally secured approval to expand infrastructure and equip facilities in 6 tertiary institutions across the country, put at 12 billion naira. Meanwhile, the council has directed the Debt Management Office to raise a 758 billion naira federal government bond to clear backlog of pension payments.
And that is to clear up the backlog of pension liabilities owed various categories of pensioners who are owed funds under the defined benefit system that preceded the defined contributory pension scheme that came into force in 2004 and of course was updated with a new act in 2014.
The council also announced a €30 million long-term concession of financing from a French development agency for the provision of clean energy-based student housing across the country.
The government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is listening to the public and ensuring that the economy comes back to life once again. And the reforms are working. The economy is actually beginning to turn the corner. And this year, 2025, is a year of consolidation of all the reforms that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has and his administration has embarked upon. And we believe that by the end of the year, the economy will be a lot better.
From the State House, Musbal and Wahab, NTA News.
Nigeria's First Lady Oluremi Tinubu has donated 100 million naira to victims of recent disasters in Niger State. She announced the donation at the State Government House on the sideline of her private visits to two former heads of state in Minna, the state capital. State House correspondent Adeniyi Taiwo reports.
Accompanied by wife of the Vice President Nana Shettima, Nigeria's First Lady Oluremi Tinubu is in Minna, the Niger State capital, on a private visit, first to the hilltop residence of former head of state, General Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida. The visit, according to the First Lady, is to check on the well-being of the 83-year-old former leader. The duo later held a closed-door meeting.
How are you? Welcome. How are you?
The First Lady paid similar visit to the home of General Abdulsalami Abubakar, where she applauded the former military head of state for his unwavering support to the current administration.
It's been a lot for us trying to juggle and, stabilize the government to an extent, because with subsidy removal, people were getting a lot agitated. Daddy, on the other hand, has always encouraged Mr. President. So it's right for me to come here and to greet them, because they are the fathers of our nation, the patriarchs of this great nation. It's good for us to pay our respect. So that's why we are here. It's nothing much. It's nothing political. It's just respect for me and Her Excellency Haji Nana Shettima.
Thank you very much. I want to thank the First Lady for what she has doing and will continue to do, especially for the young children, the motherless, and the orphans. She has done very well during her second year in office. She has done the public, Nigerian public, and she has done a lot of things in order to bring out Nigeria. And she is Nigeria's #1 ambassador.
At the Government House, Minna, where she extended her condolences to the State Governor, Omar Bago, the First Lady announced a donation of 100 million naira through the Renewed Hope initiative to victims of recent disasters in the state.
So we are looking at under 70 families, like I reviewed with you. We decided each family will have ₦1 million, at least to help them settle in. And then for other extra expenses for them, food items and things like that, the remaining money from the 100 million, Her Excellency will be able to do that, so that, they won't feel the disaster and the pinch of it so hardly.
This speaks volume in terms of consolidation of our relationship as a state and with the Renewed Hope agenda. We're also grateful that you have come to share with us in pains and commiserate with Nigerians over the losses we had in recent times.
The First Lady is back in Abuja. Adeniyi Taiwo, NTA News.
Another break beckons. The news continues in a moment. Do stay with us. Many thanks for being there. Jigawa State is to benefit from the $700 million Rural Electrification Fund as part of efforts to increase access to electricity supply. This is coming as the state's governors, Umar Namadi, leads a delegation to a peer review session put together by management of Rural Electrification Agency. Correspondent Abubakar Akwanga reports.
Jigawa State has approximately 7 million population with a growing influence on the economy and social sectors, and this demographic expression needs basic infrastructure to thrive. This is why the Rural Electrification Agency, in partnership with the state government, is expanding renewable energy projects across the state to address the huge gaps in the energy sector, leveraging on a $700 million intervention fund.
Several aspects of our 12-point agenda have equally recognized sustained investment in renewable energy, connecting rural communities and public institutions to upgrade electricity, and expanding the role of private sector in transforming the state economy as key priorities. This is in line with the strategic development objective we are pursuing to deliver our vision for Greater Jigawa.
Over 500 communities that can be taken in Jigawa State. And we really are optimistic that you will create comfort in the mind of the renewable energy service companies, so that the man with the $750 million, you are going to create the enabling environment for them to come to Jigawa State.
A memorandum of understanding was signed between the government and the agency to implement thousands of mini-grids to cover more than 200,000 communities in Jigawa State. In Abuja, Abubakar Akwanga, NTA News.
And over now to Benny Adams for the business news. Benny.
Thank you, Olajide. Now talking business. Amid trade wars with America against the world, the World Trade Organization is worried that the world could turn away from 8 decades of multilateral cooperation, which is anchored on shared rules. This is as middle powers like Paraguay offer to act as bridge builders and to foster dialogue and consensus.
Preserving the benefits of multilateralism whilst fixing its shortcomings would help us build them a better future. I'm convinced that small and mid-sized economies have vital roles to play here.
Paraguay's commitment to this role stems from its deep conviction that multilateralism remains the most effective path to sustainable development.
And now the 58th meeting of the Joint Ministerial Monitoring Committee of the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, which took place via video conference, has commended the overall conformity for OPEC and non-OPEC countries participating in the Declaration of Cooperation. Lydia Sampson has details of that.
The Joint Ministerial Monitoring Committee reviewed the crude oil production data for the months of November and December 2024 and noted that the improved conformity further reaffirms the Declaration of Cooperation countries' shared objectives of unity and cohesion. They reaffirmed their commitment, noting that the additional voluntary production adjustments have ensured the stability of the oil market. The 59th meeting of the Joint Ministerial Monitoring Committee is scheduled to hold 5th April 2025. Lydia Sampson, NTA News.
And back home, the Minister of State for Finance, Doris Anite, is extending the federal government's palliative program to include students across the country and residents of the Federal Capital Territory, building on the successful distribution previously conducted in Imo State. Dr. Anite, while also reaching out to rural dwellers at the weekend, emphasized that while the palliatives address immediate needs, they form part of the broader economic reform agenda of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration. The initiative has reached multiple demographics across the FCT area councils, with beneficiary groups including student bodies, women's association, community organizations, and vulnerable groups. Sunday, as Sefon, Senior Special Assistant to the President on Student Engagement, commended the gesture, describing it as succor for students in difficult times. And now a quick look at the market. The Nigerian stock market sustained its bullish momentum, extending the gains recorded in the previous session as investors gained 83.9 billion naira in portfolio value. Same can be said of South Africa here, where it's appreciated, shares appreciated by 1.12%. And for Tunisia, it is a downtrend of 0.16%. Well, this is it on business. Keep a date with us for a fresh edition, but that will be tomorrow. It's time to take a break. Do stay with us.
Glad to know you're still there. Now let's take you back to World Cancer Day, where the Nigerian Army Officers' Wives Association NAWA has launched a strategic operation against cancer, mobilizing troops of compassion and care in a series of events at the NAWA Event Center, Mambila Barracks, Abuja, to mark World Cancer Day. Defense correspondent Najatu Tijani reports.
Sharing her cancer survival story, Chioma demonstrates the warrior spirit which NAWA wants Nigerians to adopt in the face of cancer and other challenges. It is a battle cry of hope and resilience, says NAWA President Mernan Oluyede.
So NAWA works to raise awareness about this disease, because early intervention, early detection of this disease can indeed offer opportunities for treatment
Well, it might not be common knowledge to know that a cancer patient needs in excess of 1 million every month for treatment, and about 15 million naira for a complete treatment cycle. The types of cancer prevalent amongst women, it's your day, have been touched on here.
NAWA also deploys its arsenal of awareness, education, and support to combat the scourge of cancer with a panel of experts from the National Hospital, including some of its members.
I want to urge you all to take charge of your health. Cancer affects us all, directly or indirectly, but with knowledge, awareness, and proactive care, we can reduce our risk. Get screened regularly because early detection saves lives.
Standing united in the fight for a cancer-free world, NAWA, through the programs and activities, including a fashion show, reaffirms that women are survivors and are united by unique, the theme of World Cancer Day. Naja'atu Tijani, NTA News.
Well, time now to join Badi to let the cat out of the bag in the world of sports. Badi.
Many thanks, Olajide. Let's begin from home. As the Director General of the National Sports Commission, Bukola Olokbade, has assured on the commitment of the leadership of the Commission to training and retraining of staff for scientific productivity of Nigerian sports. The DG stated this when he was a surprise guest at the meeting of the newly appointed Federation Secretaries with the Director of the Federation of Elite Athletes Department, Olumide Bamiduro. The DG also charged the Federation Secretaries to hit the ground running and align themselves with the vision and mandate of the Commission, especially with the Renewed Hope Initiative for Nigeria's sports economy. Now, Niger Tornadoes FC have been directed to pay Anthony Michael Adoyi a sum of 1 million naira and, of course, 350,000 for a legal termination of the player's contract. The decision was reached by the Nigeria Premier Football League, MPFL, after the conclusion of the investigation following a letter of complaint sent to the league body by the player for not allowing him to finish his contract with the club. And away from that, let's quickly tell you about the draws for the FIBA Under-19 World Cup, as Nigeria women's basketball team have been placed in the Group B with Portugal and, of course, Canada and China at the World Cup, which will take place from July the 12th to 20. And, of course, other African competitors, including Mali, now have their group opponents. That'll be a bit when it comes to sports tonight. Let's now return to Olajide.
All right, many thanks, Badi, and that concludes the network news. Many thanks for being a part of it. I am Olajide Bello.